Hello.
Hi, Ernie.
Hi.
Hi, Ernie.
Hi there. How's
Seems
everybody?
that we've got everybody. We can get started. This is Melissa Nettermeyer, trustee, mayor pro tem, sitting in for Mayor Carpino this evening in his absence. Today is June 11th, 2020. The time is 7:01, and this board meeting for the Village of Willow Springs is called to order. Madam Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Trustee Burks,
Here.
Kennedy,
Here.
Nettemeyer,
Here.
Posh,
Here.
Moon,
Here.
Carr,
Here.
President Carpino. That completes the roll call.
Thank you, Clerk Manella. Now, could we all please do the Pledge of Allegiance? There will be some feedback if we're all talking, but if we could just bear together and say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
Pledge allegiance to
To
the
the
flag
Flag
of the
of
United States of America and to the republic
Republic
for which it stands,
Stands
one nation,
one nation,
under God, indivisible,
indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
justice for all. Amen.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. There are no presentations this evening, so we will move to the first agenda item, which is disposition of previous minutes. In our board pack, we have board meeting minutes from May 28th, 2020. I need a motion to approve those minutes, please.
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion by trustee Moon and a second by,
I
Kennedy.
heard Burks.
we'll say trustee Burks. Is there any discussion? Okay, can we please take a roll call vote to approve the minutes?
Trustee Burks,
Aye.
Kennedy,
Aye.
Nettemeyer,
Aye.
Posh,
Aye.
Moon,
Aye.
Carr.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries and the minutes are approved. We will move on to the reports of officials. The first up is Village President. I will take that one. Our most recent past meeting took place the day before we entered into phase 3 of the state's reopening plan. Now we are 2 weeks into that phase. Most businesses in town are open within those guidelines. The governor says that we can anticipate moving into phase 4 as early as June 26th, if the COVID statistics support doing so. Phase 4 would include indoor dining at restaurants with capacity limits and gatherings up to 50 people, amongst other things. Also, since our last meeting, our nation has seen widespread civil unrest. There was no confirmed activity in Willow Springs, however, there was in neighboring towns. The police department was monitoring this closely. Nixle alerts were sent out as needed. Again, this is a reminder to sign up for Nixle if you have not already. Those alerts come directly from your Willow Springs Police Department and or your village administrator. So the information is very valuable. Hopefully when we meet in July, we will be in phase 4 and we will be able to resume meeting in Village Hall. Until then, please continue to take the necessary precautions to stay safe and healthy. That concludes the president's report. So we will move on to the report of the village administrator. Administrator Woods.
Thank you, Madam President. The first item I have is the approval of resolution 2020-R-02, which is approving an agreement for the construction of special services. I'll try to break this down and be as succinct as possible. But as you recall, several months ago, the board created an SSA for the Willow Glen development and authorized the sale of $7 million in non-general obligation SSA bonds. The agreement that you have before you spells out the details, all of the details of the development as it relates to the bonds, from the responsibilities of the party to the disbursement of the bond proceeds. It also indemnifies the village from any claims, actions, losses, suits, damages, liabilities, any fines, anything of that nature. It classifies the special services into two groups. The first group, or the first class, is governmental special services. That would be a total of about $4 million of the bond issue. And that would include items like water mains, sewers, street lighting, detention areas, basically any services that are provided within the areas that will be turned over to the village as village property or easements. The second class are the non-governmental special services, which accounts for about $3 million of the bond issue. And that would include things like the recreation center, construction of the recreation center, any earthwork in the non-village owned areas, and certain other construction costs related to the project area that is intended to be held by private owners. Basically, that's any services provided within the areas of the project that will not fall under village ownership. This agreement spells out how the bond proceeds are going to be dispersed. The developer would have to submit a project to the village engineer, and he and I will review the project in consultation with our bond counsel to determine whether it qualifies. If it is approved, we then send the project to the trust and place an order for disbursement of the funds for that specific project, and that would have to be done on each project. Now, as far as the bonds go, I was advised today that they believe they're very close to issuing the bonds. They've been out to market for a while, but they think they're very close. But in the event that they are not issued and closed by October 1st, the developer is going to have to come back to the board and request an amendment to this agreement. I hope that answered any questions you might have, but if any of the trustees have any questions, I will endeavor to do my best to answer them. If I don't have an answer, I will get one for you. Are there any questions on it?
Brent, as far as this is Trustee Moon. The question I have is, you said the bonds must be sold by October 1st, or what happens?
Or they have to come back to the board and request an amendment to the agreement. The village has the option of ending the agreement if they're not sold by October 1st.
Okay, so then they would probably, then the village has the right to extend that another month or whatever?
Correct.
Okay.
You can extend it as long as you want. It could be a month, it could be two, however long the board determines.
Gotcha. Okay. How does it look for the bonds? I understand some bonds have been purchased by other subsidiaries around here. I just wonder how it looks for these bonds to be passed.
Well, I think, the bond market is pretty slow. I think, people are a little skittish. The good part about these is that the majority of them are the governmental services bonds, which are tax-free. So that should make it a little easier to sell.
Okay. Thank you.
Do we have a motion to approve resolution 2020-R-02 approving the agreement?
Trustee Moon, I'll make it.
We have a motion by Trustee Moon and a second.
Carr. Second.
Second by Trustee Carr. Is there any further discussion? I know Brent opened it up to questions. Any additional questions from the board?
Nope.
Okay, there being none, can we please take a roll call vote?
Trustee Burks,
Aye.
Kennedy,
Aye.
Nedemeyer,
Aye.
Tosh,
Aye.
Moon,
Aye.
Carr.
Aye.
That concludes the roll.
Thank you, and motion carries. Moving on to the report for the village clerk. Clerk Manella?
Madam President?
Oh, I'm sorry, Brent.
I had a few, that's okay. I had a few more things. I apologize. The next item I have, since I got here, I've been working with Senator Collins' office on various different projects the village is would like to undertake. And we have received funding in the past, or we've received commitment of funding in the past. We have not received the funding yet. One of those items was $150,000 for infrastructure improvements, thanks to the senator putting it into a bill. We did receive confirmation that we will receive funding spread over 3 years on totaling approximately a little over $300,000 for infrastructure. And I submitted some projects to her office early last month and received a letter from her office, I believe it was last Friday or the Friday before, advising us that the new capital bill, which is before the General Assembly, does in fact have another $2.5 million earmarked for Willow Springs in it. The projects I submitted were the Ursula Lift Station, the restoration on Tributary D. That's a tributary that runs from approximately Vinewood down the hill across Archer and behind the homes on Poston all the way to the CN Railroad. And the third project was for flooding relief at 91st and Orchard Avenue area. Are there any questions on any of that?
That bill's
Okay.
got 2.5 in it for these three things.
2.5 for the village. Yeah, it doesn't specify in the bill what the projects are, but that was what I submitted.
Okay.
So I would like to thank Senator Collins, and I have contacted her office to thank her for assisting us with this. And finally, I did a comparison of last year, the first 2 months of last year to the first 2 months of this year, May and June. And I am pleased, and I have to give a shout out to the department heads for working very hard to control their expenses. And as a result, we were able to cut our expenditures from last year to this year by just about 30%. So that's really good news that we're showing some, we're managing the crisis as best as we can.
Very good. Thank you.
So if there's,
Thank you, all the managers.
yes, the department heads have worked very hard for this. So I do appreciate their working with me on it. So if there's no further questions on that, Madam President, that concludes my report.
Very good. Thank you, Brent. Moving on to the report now of the village clerk, Clerk Manella.
Thank you. So the clerk's office as of June 2nd has resumed normal business hours. Social distancing guidelines are in place. We've done a little bit of switching around with the entrances so that people can come in on the far end of the building toward the Metro lot and exit toward the door that's closest to the clerk's office to allow people to not have to get into close proximity with each other. Things are going smoothly, pretty much as they have up until this point. A reminder to everyone that the census is this year. Please remind your neighbors, your friends, your family to go ahead and respond to the census. And that concludes my report as the clerk. And as far as the Justice Willow Springs Water Commission, I just want to remind everyone that complete report that I read from last meeting is now included in this month's packet. So that is a nice overview from our executive director of what's going on at the Justice Willow Springs Water Commission. And that ends my report.
Mary Jane?
Yep.
I just wanted to let you know that the water department took care of that hole behind Buckingham and Province.
Fabulous.
Early in the week, they told me it's all good now.
Wonderful. Thanks, Trustee Burks. I appreciate knowing that.
Excellent. Okay, moving on then to village engineer, Dan Lynch.
Thank you, Madam President. I just wanted to let the board know that work is progressing on the Willow Ridge subdivision at German Church Road in Valley View. I've been stopping out several times a week to check on the progress and make sure everything is going according to plan. And if there's any questions, I'd be happy to address them.
Is that the connection to Bugie?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
I have noticed the development there, and it's good to know that you're following it closely and checking on it. Thank you for keeping us apprised.
You're welcome.
Anything further?
No, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to the report for the village attorney, Eric Peck.
There is no report, Madam President.
Thank you. Then We will see. Is there a report for the treasurer this evening? Treasurer Zabinski?
Yeah, I just wanted to report out briefly. We've gotten estimates of revenues, the per capita revenues, income tax, use tax, motor fuel tax, and per capita grant. It looks like next year's projection is going to be declining in total by about $10 per capita. So I have to go back and, since I just got this yesterday, I'm going to go back and take a look at the budget that we've proposed and see how this is going to affect the proposed budget. But we did get the first issue of, well, we got June's sales tax numbers. There's between a 10 and a 15% drop. Now those were the collections from March. So if we're looking for a week, it was down 10% to 15%. You're looking at anywhere from a 40 to 60% drop in sales tax while we were in the stay-at-home order for a whole month. So I'm going to take that into consideration as well as these new numbers from the IML and make sure the budget numbers are reasonable. And that's my entire report.
Okay, thank you. Reports of standing committees, Building and Zoning Committee, Trustee Carr.
Thank you, Madam President. For the month of May 2020, we had 28 permits issued. Our total construction cost was $347,028. This allotted us permit expenses of $10,818. For the year in total, 84 permits issued. Total construction value of $1,369,790 for permit fees of $43,110. That's all I have for this evening.
Very good, thanks. Moving on to Finance and Administration Committee, Trustee Posh.
Thank you, Madam President. Tonight I have one item for approval, item 6B1, dated June 11th, 2020. Payroll and payroll expenses in the amount of $89,323.62. All fund expenses in the amount of $130,351.95 for a total expenditure of $219,675.57. And I would like to make a motion to approve the payroll and warrants dated June 11, 2020 as read.
I'll
Trustee
second.
Moon, I'll second that.
Thank you. We have the motion by Trustee Posh and the second by Trustee Moon. Any discussion of the warrants? Okay, there being none, can we take a roll call vote, please?
Trustee Burke,
Aye.
Kennedy,
Aye.
Nettlemeyer,
Aye.
Posh,
Aye.
Moon,
Aye.
Carr.
Aye.
That concludes the roll.
Thank you. Warrants approved.
Thank
Anything
you,
further,
Madam President.
Trustee?
No, that ends my report. Thank you.
Thank you. License and Franchise Committee, Trustee Moon.
Thank you, Madam President. I have nothing tonight.
Okay, thank you. Municipal Buildings and Grounds Committee, Trustee Kennedy.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a couple things. One is on the dog park. As you recall, there was a discussion about the cost of maintaining the dog park, and particularly the locks. The cost most years exceeds the revenue generated by the park. So they removed the locks that, to cut that cost, and as a result, the parks are being used more frequently, and there's a lot of good feedback on that. And as a reminder, if you use the parks, make sure your dogs have a valid rabies certificate, and you're also registered with the Village of Willow Springs. And then the second thing I'd like to mention is the Legacy Garden Park. A special thanks to the Beautification Committee and the Public Works Department for making the garden park a reality. There are 20 boxes with 14 already in use, and there are 4 handicap boxes that are not used yet, and they will be released on July 1st if they're not used for the general public. The signs are in place. Everything looks great. It's right down at the end of my street. There's a lot of excitement in my neighborhood for all this. So thanks again. And there's going to be an official dedication to the park on July 22nd at 1 p.m. So I encourage everybody to attend that. And then I would just like to reemphasize something that you said, Mayor, about the going into the next phase. I know the Southwest Council of Mayors are pushing to open earlier. They've been pushing Governor Pritzker, and he's being kind of stubborn to get this thing moving. But I do know that they are working hard so that we can get our communities back out in the public. And that concludes my report.
Okay. Thank you, Trustee Kennedy. Public Safety Committee is myself. I will handle that one now. As touched on the President's report, during the past weeks, the nation has seen civil unrest in the way of protesting and looting. During those peak times, Chief Ritz ordered extra patrol and manpower to protect safety and property. The PD continues to monitor the State Terrorism Information Center and social media for potential threats or issues in our area and will plan accordingly. Thankfully, all has seemingly been much more calm. And finally, with some of the corona restrictions being lifted, as we've heard throughout the meeting, we still urge you all to take universal precautions to stay safe. And that concludes the Public Safety Committee report. On to Public Works Committee. Trustee Burks?
Yes, Mike stole a lot of my thunder, so, but we do want to let people know that the dog parks are open. You know, as long, and we need to keep those clean, be respectful of others. There's plenty of bags out there to pick up anything. If there's any issues, you know, let us know. I know I removed a rock or something the other day, but it's definitely a positive for everyone in the village. And I know myself as someone that uses it, and the people that I've met are all very good pet owners and take care of the place. So we just want to keep it that way. And everything else in Public Works is going according to schedule. I don't know if Keith has anything to add, but we're still on the 1st and 3rd and 2nd and 4th months for branch pickup.
Director Grantland, anything to add?
Not at this time, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay. One thing that I would like to add, I don't know if we discussed it at previous meetings, but in conjunction with the Beautification Commission and Public Works, they've worked together to put in all the beautiful flowers that you see around the signs in town, and just want to say thank you for the hard work with that, and everything looks really great.
Thank you.
Okay, if there's nothing more for Public Works Committee, we will move on to old business. Any old business? Any new business? Okay, we'll move now to public comment, please. Administrator Woods, and we discussed we'll go through the participants to see if there's any public comment this evening.
Okay, first I will call on Carol Valdez. If you have anything, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
I was calling, I know my husband went and talked to somebody down at Village Hall earlier this week, because on our street on Knowlton, on the corner of Knowlton and Archer, I think it's village easement, like the north, it would be the northwest corner, right by the stoplight. The weeds and grass is like 3 foot high over there. And my husband says, could you please ask them if they could look into that or do something because of the mosquitoes and the animals that are in there. So if somebody could look into that, we'd appreciate that.
Yes, Keith, the property owner that owns that piece of land, has been given a 7-day warning notice. I'll have to find out the exact day that the 7 days expires, but at the expiration of the 7 days, that would allow us to go onto the property and cut it, and then lien the property for the cost of doing that.
Okay, I wasn't sure if that was actually the property for that house next door or if that was easement. Although his is kind of high too.
It is private property.
That's all,
Yeah.
that's all I want to say.
Thank you, Carol. Next in line, we have Dave Patterson. If you have anything, you can unmute.
No, I have nothing to add. Thank you for all the work. Thank you for all the work that you're doing.
Thank you, Dave.
Not noticed. It is very noticed and very appreciated. Really is. It's a lot of work you're doing there. Thank you to everybody.
Thank you, Dave.
Thanks, Dave.
Next in line, we have Greg. Greg, if you have anything, go ahead and unmute.
I'm good. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you, Greg. Joan Fries, if you have anything, Joan, you can unmute. Okay, we'll move on to Kimberly. Kimberly, anything you'd like to discuss? You can unmute.
No, Kimberly is okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Nina, if you have anything, go ahead and unmute.
We're good, thank you.
Thank you, Nina. Tom Era, do you have anything? You can unmute yourself. Okay, moving on to the telephone number 708-315-4493. Do you have anything you can unmute? Do you have anything? Okay, nothing there. And finally, we have telephone number ending in 0999. Do you have anything? Okay, that concludes the list, Madam President.
Thank you, Brent. Okay, the next is executive session. There is none this evening. So I would ask for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, we have a motion by trustee Moon, and I thought I heard a second by Posh.
Yes.
All right, we have a motion by Moon and a second by Posh. Any discussion? All right.
I had one discussion, with the family that got flooded out over by the score.
Mhm.
Has anybody heard anything more from this family? And is there a way that we can, collect clothes or things like that if they may need that stuff? That's something I wanted to bring up.
Thank you, trustee Burks. Yes, I can say we have been in contact with them since our last meeting, and we're working to get them some assistance. I think there was talk of setting up a GoFundMe page for them. Someone's doing that. So
Okay.
when I know more about that and when that's set up, I can share that with the wider audience. Thank you for your concern with that, though.
And
Okay.
I also did receive the memo from the engineer. He and I are working on finalizing the memo with possible solutions to the issue over there. And once it is finalized, it will be, well, actually tomorrow it will be provided to the homeowners over there. And a copy will be sent to each board member as well.
Trustee Moon here. I've been by there several times this week and last week, and I saw their car in the driveway one time, but that's the only time I've seen it, and I missed getting in to see them because I have a TV and several things I could offer them too. That's all.
Okay.
Excuse me. I don't know if I'm still on or not.
Carol, yes.
I was just wondering, did the village do anything to help the family of the fire down by the park? Where
Yes.
the house was on fire?
Yes,
and
we
the
did.
family lost everything?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay. I was just wondering, I didn't hear anything about that and I wasn't sure if they did or not. Because they also just lost their son. Their son died also last
Oh.
week.
Oh, jeez.
Their older son. So that's what I
Hey.
was asking because I didn't hear anything as far as
No, we did.
giving them any help. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. We had the motion to adjourn by trustee Moon and the second by trustee Posh. Any more discussion? There being none, can we take a roll call vote to adjourn the meeting?
Trustee Burks,
Aye.
Kennedy,
Aye.
Nettmeyer,
Aye.
Posh,
Aye.
Moon,
Aye.
Carr.
Aye.
That concludes the roll.
Thank you. All ayes, meeting adjourned at 7:31. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. Stay
Good night.
safe.
Stay safe.